For over half a century, humans have endeavored to make business a force for good. But is the movement working? Or is it time to explore a new path forward? Welcome to Less Talk, More Action. We are your hosts, Joel Caesar and Owen Barrett, experts in clean energy, net zero real estate, decarbonization, and entrepreneurship. In each episode, we ask provocative questions and share stories from the front lines of sustainability with leaders in science, tech, and business taking real action to design a cleaner, better future. Thanks for joining the conversation. Now, let's get to work. Welcome to Less Talk, More Action podcast. My name is Joel Caesar, the world's undisputed voice, building decarbonization. Joining me as always is Owen Barrett, the founder and CEO of America's fastest growing solar company. Today's guest, Samir Pendse, CEO of Coral, a company focused on making energy-efficient building upgrades like heat pumps more affordable. What a cool guy. It was a lively show. He's our kind of person, left big consulting, decided to go to a startup world, started a company, filling gaps he needed in the market, and he's out there making shit happen. What'd you think?
I think our industry needs more finance bros. We need more guys running around in Patagonia vests that know how to talk numbers. He's my guy.
Yeah, it was a good call by you saying we haven't had enough of them on because
the industry doesn't have any. It does not attract the finance person.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Block Power a bunch, but there was an angle of Block Power with the financing that was really interesting because they had this unique way of financing heat pumps, and that was like, looking back, they probably should have focused heavily just on that because, as you're saying, that's a real need.
Yeah.
Well, cool. But before we dive into everything with Samir, let's dive into a new bit we're going to call Joel Learns from His Dad, and how my blue-collar father from Pennsylvania, who spent his life in the waste industry, provided me some great self-reflection on what we all do for a living here, trying to retrofit buildings. My dad, throughout my career, like I said, he's kind of old school, blue collar. He's run the waste companies. He's a great businessman, but he doesn't understand a lot of the stops I've had, especially when I was at Google, and I was like, my job's kind of like count emissions, and I send it to this group called the Carbon Disclosure, and I could tell he's just like, what? What are you doing? But he likes whenever, sometimes he'll ask me, sometimes it starts to get into questions, and recently, he hasn't asked me much about Cambio, and he was like, one day he's like, are you doing anything with this AI thing that's happening? I was like, Dad, I work for an AI company. That's what we do. So he's like, interesting. He's like, oh, really? How are you using AI? So I started telling him what we do. And he's like, what? Why? I started to explain. I was like, well, we daylight energy efficiency projects for companies. They give us 300 of their buildings, and our platform uses AI to tell them where there's opportunities to save money by doing these retrofit projects. He's like, oh, that's amazing. That must be easy to sell. I was like, yeah, it's harder than you think. And he's like, well, come on, explain it to me. He's like, well, I was like, well, let's say we charge $1,000 to a company to do one of their buildings, and we'll daylight, I don't know, 6 or 7 energy efficiency projects, and some of them have a pretty short payback period, and some of them pretty easy ROI calculation. And he's like, oh, so that's so you charge $1,000, you can save them $2,000. I was like, oh yeah, more. Charge $1,000. If they do our projects, we could probably save them $10,000. He's like, then why doesn't everyone buy your product? I was like, well, because they kind of don't really care. They don't actually do the projects. Even though we show them to do the projects, and they say they want to do the projects, and they have these big commitments that say they want to reduce energy, they don't get to it because there's all this bureaucracy for them. And he's looking at me confused, I don't understand. If I'm running a business and someone tells me for $1,000 they'll save me $2,000, that should be a no-brainer. I was like, yeah, Dad, I kind of used to do that when I was at Google, but it was really hard for me to get the projects done. And he's always taking shots at me. I was like, well, then you're not good at your job. So
another shitty sales guy.
But it was just this really honest conversation. You and I are in sales, and I'm sure you always get these trainings, or you come across someone who's you got to be able to explain it to a 5-year-old. If you can't explain it to a 5-year-old, or you can't do it in an elevator, or you can't say it in one sentence, then how can you sell it? So it was really good practice to explain it to my dad. But then it just led me back to why is this so hard to get anyone to do anything in this industry? And I couldn't explain to him how these big corporate real estate companies have so many layers of bureaucracy. Now, all that to be said, and you and I know this, this is maybe where I'm asking your opinion. I said, well, what kind of happens is, even though they can save energy, they have all these other priorities. They're trying to increase rent. They're trying to make sure they have occupancy. They're trying to avoid risk. They're trying to comply with other regulations. They have taxes. They have insurance. So there's an opportunity for energy, but it just isn't big enough of a priority compared to the other things to get them to get off their ass and do the thing. So, you and I both know that that's real.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think so. I think what you're sort of hitting at is the reason that we created our entire business model. Like, I came into multifamily and said, there's got to be a way for solar to work in multifamily. And the problem with the traditional way is if you only install solar on common area meters, it's just inconsequential to these projects. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't move the needle. It's not worth anybody's time. And I think, unfortunately, that's the reality of a lot of these projects. Like, a lighting upgrade for a 400 unit apartment building. Yeah, the payback's probably 8 months, but you're talking about like an $80 million apartment building, it creating $30,000 of NOI. Is that worth anybody's time? No. But like, unfortunately, it's not. Like, we got to figure out how do we focus on the bigger projects, the more impactful projects that actually move the needle for like the asset managers, the asset owners, like the LPs, because otherwise I think we're always going to be in this like uncomfortable, unfortunate reality of delivering projects that seem like they make all the sense in the world on paper, but they carry so little value in terms of like the overall investment that nobody's going to do it.
Yeah. It's just a reality check to people in our industry. It's like, you're screaming into the void of why won't anyone do the projects? There's all this ROI. It makes so much sense. But it's like, well, if you were in their shoes, you might do it. You might not do it either because you have a lot of other things to worry about.
I mean, dude, imagine think about how much we learned from Z&E.
Yeah.
And I like to think that a big part of the reason that my company is so successful within the space is because I feel like we really get like what these people are going through. Imagine like a rotational program where you go, you like sit in the shoes of the asset manager or the property manager, like, you get a taste of what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So you can just like relate to them a little bit better for salespeople.
I totally agree. And I think it helps me a ton having just this credibility of like, I've been the owner. I know what it's like. Yeah. And I've told this story before. Like, one of Cambia's competitors, the CEO, I think he's like an academic, and again, probably he created a cool company. No shade. He's built a company. I got a ton of respect for anyone like that. But he had a post about like, the future is brown to green and we need more brown to green. And I was like, dude, you've never owned a brown building. Like,
yeah, good luck.
Go buy a brown building and tell me how bullish you're going to be on telling
it's like hard
these large
to
commercial
get
real estate organizations to do it too.
Good luck getting like, LP dollars into a brown to green project where the risk is like enormous.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's brown. So there's a great opportunity to make it green with energy, and there's ROI there. But like, there's other issues that come with brown buildings that you might not want to operate.
You know what we're going way over here, but I think this is important for everyone to hear. I think the more that myself and my company come to the realization that nobody cares about sustainability, it's all dollars. Like, I want to just strip everything out of my website, out of our sales material, everything related to sustainability, and just talk about the dollar impact, because the less we talk about sustainability and climate, the better we do as a company.
Wow. Let's wrap on that. Well, good bit. Shout out to my dad asking the right questions and teaching me a lesson as always. And with that, let's jump into our conversation with Samir Pendse. Joining us today is Samir Pendse, CEO of Coral, a company focused on making energy-efficient building upgrades like heat pumps more affordable. Samir previously worked as a small business lender before leading operations at a venture-backed startup and founding Coral in 2023. At Coral, he's reimagining how we pay for heating, cooling, and power systems through innovative financing structures. So, Samir, welcome to Let's Talk, More Action.
Thanks so much. Fired up to be here. Excited for the conversation.
We're fired up to have you, and we always start our guests off with the same question. Samir, how are you taking action to make the world a better place?
Yeah, we are making energy efficient building upgrades, things like heat pumps, batteries, water heaters, more affordable. With Coral, contractors selling these systems can offer costs that are 40% lower than without Coral. And we do that by instantly capturing rebates, other incentives, financing, and helping contractors sell these systems at the lowest cost possible. And that helps homeowners get these great systems for less. It helps contractors and their small businesses grow, and it helps decarbonize buildings in the process. So making the world a far better place, hopefully.
So Samir, I think you're the first fellow finance bro on the podcast, which I'm excited about because that's my background. And
Yeah,
I feel like,
we need more of you guys.
yeah, I feel like the industry needs more of us because I feel like financing is one of the things that just like holds back so many projects. But I got two questions. One, like explain that story from sort of probably traditional finance to clean tech finance.
Yep.
And then two, what's with the name? Like I love the name Coral, but what's the story there?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. But on the finance to start, I worked as a small business lender at one of the largest lenders called Axion, and we were working with the smallest businesses, food trucks, people at farmers markets, but also plumbers and electricians. It was my first time getting exposed to the trades and seeing how kind of urgent some of these working capital needs are and how critical financing is and could be to helping these companies grow. And I also saw there was a host of CDFIs or kind of low cost financing out there that had all these manual processes and was bogged down by bureaucracy and paperwork. And my job was really to be the tech product manager and make it more accessible. So love that. And SI was really just passionate about electrification and started seeing some of this adoption of technology in the trades and this amazing technology kind of hitting the crest of the adoption curve. Just saw financing as a gap. We talked to hundreds of contractors, asked about how they sell these systems, asked about what the bottlenecks were, and it just came down to these are way too expensive, and asking for any type of green premium or paying thousands of dollars more just to be sustainable doesn't work. It has to be something that makes direct sense for the homeowners or building owners. And the average homeowner in America has $8,000 in savings, period, across college fund, rainy day fund, medical, all that. So it needs to work, and financing is a huge part of it. So that's why we started Coral and kind of brought some of that experience here. And on the name,
before you answer the name question real quick, are you guys doing term financing or like short, like long-term financing or like short-term equipment financing?
It's actually short-term incentive financing and then long-term kind of equipment financing for the projects themselves. So we break apart. You would pay $20,000 or $25,000 for a heat pump and finance the full amount over years and figure out rebates or incentives on the side. We take all those elements and integrate it and help you just pay the lowest possible cost up front. So these rebates, which you might get from Con Ed in New York or from PG&E and SF or these hundreds of programs across the country, we capture them, we file for them, we actually finance them directly. So instead of having the homeowner or the contractor wait months to hopefully get a check in the mail for thousands of dollars, we'll actually advance those thousands of dollars to the point of sale. So contractors can just charge thousands of dollars less. Then we connect that project to lenders to finance the remaining cost. But that has a lot of advantages because what they're underwriting is a much lower upfront cost, so approval rates go higher. The total interest cost burden is less because it's a lower principal. And it also just integrates the experience and helps you immediately know, I don't have to figure out rebates. I don't have to apply separately for these financing plans. I just know I get the lowest possible monthly cost, period. It makes that turnkey.
Cool. That's awesome.
All right, now the name.
Yeah, the name. Climate was part of it. That's a huge part of our mission, and coral leaves kind of connoted the mission. We also liked, we hear a lot, what does one heat pump or one water heater or one weatherization upgrade do, and how is that really moving the needle on anything climate or mission related? And on an individual level, it's hard to see how that does. But if you do it across entire communities or states or at a scale of millions, it can have a massive impact in decarbonizing our world. And that's how we thought about coral. Any of these individual microscopic organisms you literally can't see, but coral reefs are just billions of these organisms coming together to create something pretty impactful. So that's how we thought of it. And there's verycheap.com. So that was also part of the calculation.
Nice. I love that. I love the name. I love the story, but I also think we need to take a minute to just shut down these idiots that have that perspective. Because it's like, dude, that you hear it in sustainability, you hear it in so many different things. Like that mentality just slams shut the door on any kind of progress. And it's such a stupid perspective to have.
Wait, what perspective?
like what's the point of me doing this? It's just me.
Yeah.
Like whether it's, eating less, it doesn't even have to be in sustainability. It could be anything, but like, yeah, obviously you are not going to make your own, like you're not going to have this rippling effect on society probably.
Totally.
But if everyone has that perspective, then nothing will happen.
It's like, there's so many things. Voting is an example.
Yeah,
There's so
that's another great way. Exactly. Voting's a great one.
Capitalism is a global network of people acting in their self-interest, and that leads to some good outcomes, some bad. But yeah, I mean, that's what we are. We're all a collective. That's a great analogy to the coral reefs. So Owen's going to be annoyed by this, but we're going to go to my personal home electrification story here. That is an ongoing saga. When you listen to Samir and I introduce myself at the beginning of the show, I call myself the undisputed voice of building decarbonization. but I live in an old Long Island house that is currently still heated by oil because I've had my own troubles with financing and installing the right systems and insulation and all kinds of stuff we've dealt with in other parts of the show. But Owen laughs because people right? We've had Quilt, we've had Vince from Gradient, we've had a reservoir guy, heat pump, water heater guy on recently, and I'm always trying to get free stuff to put in my house, and I'm telling them, hey, I'm a celebrity here in building clean tech, so I'm going to give you some notoriety. But all that joking aside, the financing thing is a real pain point, and Owen and I have talked about this a lot. I'm sure you hear it, and you know this, that even people like Owen and I, who are, even if we're joking, we're somewhat experts in the field of clean energy. But when we try to navigate, Owen's in Utah, and I know he's lived in California, and as of California, now I'm in New York, and places where there are incentives, and there's all these smart people trying to figure out ways to deploy more clean tech. But like, it's effing impossible to figure out how to navigate this rebate stuff. Completely. And I was at a company called Block Power last year. Block Power was trying to do something similar, like kind of reduce the friction of the upfront process by financing the incentives. But I remember, we had finance guys, and we had Block Power had this relationship with Goldman that was helping kind of streamline some of the underwriting, but it was still nebulous about where's the rebate going? Is it going to the contractor? Is it going to the homeowner? Who are we actually underwriting? Where's the risk? So I guess long question, as I love to do, but bring it to home to my house. Let's say I had Quilt here and they gave me some free heat pumps and I was going to expand, but then I ran into some financing challenges. How would you solve in my scenario? I'm in Long Island, I'm in New York, there's lots of incentives, but I don't know how to get them.
That is 99% of the market. It's so complicated. And the average homeowner is going to upgrade their HVAC systems maybe twice in their life. So understanding decommissioning or AHRI numbers or all of this complexity that's needed to file a rebate, it's impossible. And even for the contractor, these rules are constantly changing. Every few months there's updates. And so asking anyone to really be the expert in this is really hard. And that's why in New York, 30 to 40% of rebates are kicked back initially and have to be resubmitted or refiled, and that delays payments.
I'm surprised the number's not higher, to be honest.
Me too. Yeah.
I'm surprised it's not 100.
Or is kickback the problem? It's probably kickbacked and or just never responded to.
Yeah. What do you know what percentage are abandoned? Because
so at least almost 10% of rebates are just fully abandoned. Yeah. So you think you're going to get it, you are promised it is to the homeowner, and it never gets paid out, and people just give up, or are either in major distress if they were banking on $5, $6, $7, $10,000 rebates.
I hate to bounce around here, but it's where's the startup going to enter and say, I'm going to go to these utilities and just buy all these abandoned rebates that are just sitting there and never cashed out because the homeowner just fucking gave up on the process. Sorry for cursing, but this process just annoys the shit out of me. So I'm sorry, Samir.
Why is it? Samir, is it utilities running their own incentive programs? It sounds like you guys are facilitating the program itself, but why not just step in and manage the entire process and take it out of the utilities? Or is that what you guys are doing?
We're more kind of advocating for the contractor and the homeowner to make it easy. We're working closely with the utilities and also the implementers, but we're not managing the program for them. And two, come to their defense. They actually have, there's a lot of reasons for some of the requirements and complexity, and they're trying to maximize the, reduction in demand and make sure that these systems are installed correctly and weatherized. So I can get their perspective, but the result is it's so complicated. So Joel, for you to have to, even if you get an amazing Quilt system and have to figure out these rebates, it's almost impossible. So we have not said, let's build a TurboTax guide or resources or help make it easier for the homeowner to figure this out. We've said, let's make it so the homeowner doesn't have to think about rebates and help the contractor who's selling to you just say, don't worry about rebates. You don't have to apply. We're just going to charge you $5,000 less. So that PSE&G Long Island rebate, we're just going to give it to you and take care of it for you. And don't worry about it, Joel. You pay $5,000 off. And then the contractor, they don't have to want to worry about all this filing and complexity and risk either. So that's where we come in. We help file for these rebates on behalf of the contractor. We manage the paperwork. We also give them software. So at the point of sale in your house, they can guarantee you the specific dollar amount of that rebate. And then after we help them do that, file for it, we advance those funds to the point of sale. So they're also not waiting months. So that's how we really make this system much easier for the channel, for the contractor, and for the customer to navigate.
Joel, I'm gonna pivot this away from let's save Joel's.
No, can I ask one more question about Joel's shitty house, please?
I want to know about Joel's house. I want to help.
Sorry, Owen. I'll let you go back, but I just have one more question on this. Owen and I are both in sales in a way, go to market. We have a lot of, our day job is dealing with objections. I'm going to give you an objection. I'm sure you've heard. Let's say I'm the homeowner here in this scenario, and I'm a little more sophisticated than the average homeowner. Like, I've been through this before. Because we came across this with Black Power. Mm-hmm. We had these incentives that only Black Power could offer in certain markets, and it was like contracts we won with city governments. We're trying to enable decarbonization. But what kind of happened, and I saw this firsthand. What's the right way to do the math? Like the heat pump was going to cost $20,000.
Yeah.
And there was an incentive to make it 15, and I was going to go to the contractor. But the homeowner, the contractor, because there was like a black box to the homeowner, the contractor charged $20,000 to the homeowner anyway and just pocketed the $5,000. Okay. So like, how do you prevent that?
Yeah, a few reasons. We both mandate in part of our process that the full rebate is passed along to the homeowner. We also have a lot of contractual stuff that goes into it to make sure and audit that. We also track it. We don't want to be a source of inflation here. Any rebate programs in general, I mean, this is one of the big criticisms. And Con Ed in New York, it's structurally set up where the rebates have to be applied instantly to the homeowner. But both the programs and us monitor our contractors and our transactions and kind of compare average total ticket cost compared to the market. And we think for everything we've seen, there hasn't been any inflation or increase from pocketing it themselves.
I know it sounds like we're talking a lot about like residential upgrades, which is obviously a huge market. Do you guys do commercial too?
Yeah, we do. And we think the same challenges apply where we've done hundreds of commercial projects. There's huge, across the country, billions of dollars for commercial. And it's similar. I mean, even if you're a facilities manager, you're focused on these upgrades, you have so many other things to worry about than what are the nuances of these utility incentives or even some of the financing that's available outside of rebates for these systems. So we can make that turnkey and easy, and that has a huge value. So we've seen similar. I know you guys are all sales guys. The biggest thing is our contractors sell with a 30% higher conversion rate using Coral by offering.
Oh, that's
awesome. Is this a Shine self-service angle?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, this is all this podcast is turning into is just like self-dealing.
Yeah, we're just solving my house, trying to get deals for Cambio and hooking up his business.
But it's a good, like, I'm gonna pull it back to Shine, but what the story that I'm about to tell is not unique to Shine. Like, it's so many contractors are in the same challenge. We have this 17 property portfolio in Connecticut. And Connecticut has a great incentive program through the investor-owned utilities where they'll pay. It's like a feed-in tariff program for solar. And we've been calling this incentive department for 3 weeks, every single day, leaving messages on their voicemail. They'll say, like, leave a message and we'll get back to you within 2 days. And we're just like, the projects are held up because we can't fully underwrite the incentive. The incentive people will not get back to us.
Yeah.
And we're just like, what? Like, how do you solve this? Like, how do you move this forward if the people at the utility like won't do their job and get back to the customers as they're supposed to?
So Samir, how do you solve the inefficiencies of city government or municipal government?
We can't solve the whole problem ourselves. I wish we could. But I mean, part of it though is we do work really closely with the utilities and the implementers up front to know every nuance, edge case, intricacy of the program. So hopefully we don't have to reach out or get kind of direct support as often. And then also, even with that, I mean, there are also cases where we're kind of having to raise escalations or issues with the team. But because we've gotten to a pretty solid level of scale in each of these markets, we usually kind of have relationships or know people are able to get in touch, often kind of faster and easier to help solve these things.
If there's a last self-dealing question here, if there's incentive programs that are like 10 or 20 year rec purchase agreements
Yeah.
via the utility. Do you guys have a system where you'll pay like a net present value upfront for that 20-year cash flow?
That's what we're working towards right now.
'Cause
No.
that would be huge. Like
Yeah.
that would be insane. That would change the game for a lot of our customers because everyone would take like 80% of the 20-year cash flow up front as
100%.
opposed to a 20-year stream.
Yeah, it's something worth thinking about. And we, Joel, at some point, if you can hook us up with that Goldman facility to have the ability to float that for a longer term, then, but that is, I mean, it's a huge opportunity, as you're saying, Owen. And we are building up the kind of infrastructure and the ability to be able to support those longer term projects. Right now, it is some of these kind of shorter term rebates and things that we're focused on. But that is a huge opportunity that hopefully, a year or two from now, we can help shine with that.
Cool. Love it.
Well, Samir, like maybe one more thread on this. You're a smart guy. You're deep in this world. I've worked in city government. I've thought a lot about in my past in various stops, like how we can continue to like think about smart policy that's better than what the status quo is. Lots of good, well-intentioned programs around the country that just aren't working because of bureaucracy or people not answering the phone, like Owen's saying, or just too much red tape. So,
Yeah.
we often like think, what's a better way? Okay, a utility says out loud, or maybe this state government is telling them we need more clean tech, or we need more heat pumps, so figure out a program and we'll give you some funding to do it. But like, I guess the challenge is they need to have all this red tape, and it needs to be like a lot of people involved to check things because of fraud. They're worried about like people taking advantage of it. But I don't know, maybe I was reading something like the Trump administration has stepped in Los Angeles to do something about the permits for the Palisades fire, and is like now allowing contractors to self-certify their building permit. And it's like, yeah, okay, there's going to be some risk there, but like the opposite is freaking people in the Palisades can't build their house because they can't get through LA's bureaucracy. Like, why don't we just maybe rethink these rebate programs and just let more self-certification happen?
I think there's
or just automate it. Right? Like, why have people involved at all? Joel, here I am. Now I'm advocating for AI.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. I mean, and we are building also some of these tools to make it easier to auto verify photos or some of the documents and make it easier too. I think there's a balance. I think or
like, not to interrupt you, like I had an insulation guy come here.
Yeah.
And he was I saw his truck driving by one day. I was like, oh, I'll call that guy. And he was like a young guy, and I really was impressed by him. He was a former mechanical engineer in New York City, and he saw an opportunity to start an installation company on Long Island, and he did it, and he was really knowledgeable. And then he was like, but he didn't know anything about financing. He didn't know there was like there was rebates available. He was just installing insulation, crushing.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, do you know like if you were certified under this other program, then you could maybe get financing for me to make this project easier. And it's like, I don't have time for that. But so it's like, well, what the hell? Like, so this guy's got to go certify under something, but why do we make it so difficult? So I'll let you answer the question.
I think on the one hand, I'm a huge believer, like you guys are, let's not let perfect be the enemy of the good. Like, if we can get more contractors and more homeowners and more people engaged in these programs and make it easier for them to not have so much red tape or bureaucracy to be able to get any of these incentives, then more heat pumps or more electric solutions get installed, and it creates this huge kind of virtuous cycle. But the challenge is, if you don't have any of the restrictions, then what you see is you install a bunch of heat pumps and none of them work as intended. There's not weatherization. They're way oversized. You see actually an increase in energy bills. You see humidity and mold and all these other issues. So if it's not done correctly, and already when we started Coral, one of the biggest things that shocked me was 40% of heat pumps were not installed to the manufacturer spec, and quality and callbacks are still a huge issue. And there is a risk if we make it too easy and it's just like, oh, let's get heat pumps out the door, for example, where there's this backlash where they didn't work, they didn't solve the problem, they're way worse systems, and then it really restricts the whole industry. So I do think some of the requirements have value in making sure that these are done correctly and high quality and safely and all of those. I do think there needs to be the balance of, there is a lot of requirements and red tape that's just totally unnecessary and that's blocking people from participating. And I think people need to be more focused on participation, on access, but there is a balance there, and we try to help navigate that too.
It's like, which factor is going to outweigh the other? Streamlining and getting rid of bureaucracy, or like greed and shitty contractors? I think Joel, if you get rid of all the red tape, you're going to have like, Samir, I don't know if poor contractors in HVAC are if if they're as prevalent as poor contractors in the solar space, but I feel like solar is the industry that has gotten the worst reputation because there's just so many bad contractors. And if you were to like, I'm all for streamlining things, but I agree with you. I think if you get rid of everything, you're just going to have a bunch of cowboys running around like selling shitty heat pumps and just collecting incentives.
But it's like, you know, you kind of swing the direction based on what's the most extreme recent thing. My first reaction to that is I've had such issues with the middlemen BS who had no value to this whole industry. I'm like, I'd rather go with the Cowboys. Give me the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Send a
No, but
cowboy
Owen,
to
I-
the
At least,
south.
at least they're out there doing stuff as opposed
Yeah.
to the
No, I don't
middlemen
disagree
checking
with you.
boxes in their
Yeah,
government
yeah.
bureaucracy grift box. Like,
Yeah.
give me a break.
Well, I think we also need to just like rethink getting rid of like average performers in municipal governments and utilities, like across the board. Like I'm a full advocate of replacing these people with AI. And Joel, I think this will be music to your ears. I do think there's a place for AI, and I think these like box checkers, these paper pushers that just like hold up the process and just make things take longer and cost more and complicate things. Like we just got to get rid of them, whether it's in the center programs or like everywhere.
Yeah, Samir, there's an ongoing debate here between us where I work for an AI company that helps identify energy projects, and Owen is often railing on how
Talking
that's
shit about AI.
a waste of time and how it's not adding value to the industry. So sorry to bring you into our drama here.
No. I'm sure there's both sides of it. I think there's a huge opportunity for AI in this space. And a lot of it we're doing at Coral on the front end to make it way easier to kind of verify eligibility and check all these boxes and make sure that when we submit a rebate, we're 100% sure it's going to get paid back. But also for the system, yeah, a lot of it is manual looking at PDFs, manual looking at checklists, manual looking at photos, and you can automate so much of that. It's a perfect use case for AI, actually.
Yeah.
So I do think that's a huge opportunity. I think that's another area where there are reasons for this, but utilities are often very safe and they're focused on kind of, and they're not going to take big risks and be kind of at the forefront always of AI and innovation in those ways. But I think there are areas where, yeah, this application and this layer of verification, like AI is the perfect use case. So hopefully that does make it faster and makes it just way more efficient. And also, of these billions of dollars allocated to these incentive programs, it's more that can actually go to rebates and financing of these projects and less towards this middle layer.
Do you guys have like hot pockets in the US where particular incentive programs are just like people should be paying attention to these, like whether it's for heat pumps in New England or, you know, are you seeing like hotbeds of activity?
Yeah, I mean, we're today mostly focused on the Northeast. We're kind of expanding throughout the country now, but there's also a lot of innovation in the Northeast. Massachusetts just piloted this kind of heat pump winter rate where specifically for heat pump owners from November to March, you just pay less in electric bills to incentivize it.
Oh, it's genius.
Remember I said on the first episode with, who was the guy? Panama, the head of the Building Decarbonization
Yeah.
Coalition. I was like, you know, all these upfront incentives, we'd be better off changing the tariff to
Yeah.
try to get people to do it. Yeah.
Joel, you're
Totally.
right again.
I'm always right. I just don't know how to freaking monetize it.
No, but and I think now they finally, it was the first season doing it and they looked at the report and it seemed really successful on, you know, as
Well, so I've had, I mean, this is like one of my biggest beefs with the industry is like, I don't care how good it is for the environment. If you are going to increase my like monthly utility bills, I'm not doing it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm the biggest believer in climate change and doing the right thing, but I'm not going to pay more to accomplish the same thing.
I don't know if you're the
And I
biggest
think-
believer. You're
I'm a big believer.
No, completely. It's absolutely, I mean, especially for the average homeowner, but for like 99% of people, it's such a, you want to ultimately save money and have this be affordable and accessible. And there's also comfort benefits, safety benefits, and you want the system that's going to keep you warm and keep you cool. And it's tough to make those trade-offs. So finding a way, which there are with programs like these, to make it a real win-win where you do save money, you do have a more comfortable home, and it's better for the environment. Like that's the opportunity.
Yeah, that's genius. I didn't know about that.
Well, Samir, this is all great stuff. As you can tell, this is one of our lively episodes. We love talking to founders. It's like we're trying to make this show the how I built this for clean tech. So let's lean into that a little bit. Let's transition from what you're doing, how it's saving the planet and making lives better, but also learn more about your entrepreneurial journey. Like why Coral? How'd you end up here? And tell us a little bit about what's it like starting a company.
Yeah, so I had worked at a startup previously. It was one of the first business hires. I loved building. I loved kind of starting new channels and leading teams and all that. We were not in a mission-oriented space. We were in e-commerce. So this was probably 2021, 2022. And honestly, at least for me, there was an element of like, it was still kind of in the midst of
Middle of the
COVID.
pandemic, yeah.
Yeah, facing this kind of almost like mortality. And it's like, man, if I want to make an impact and do something, like who knows what's the future is going to be like. It's like, here's the time. Let's go and take a big swing and take a big risk. And being at a startup had given me kind of the confidence to go do it. So that's what made me want to be a founder. And I also knew kind of with that mortality and like, what's the impact you want to have on the world and what's the mark you want to make? I wanted to make it in a mission-oriented space, and climate was always at the top of the list. So that's what really 2022 was quitting job, starting this. And I will say, getting to kind of this problem space and angle was a journey. I knew I wanted to build in climate, and we explored objectively a lot of pretty bad ideas within climate to get here. And we looked at a lot around things around net zero targets and corporate sustainability, and a lot of areas in which it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad.
Yeah,
we
so
started.
Good job avoiding that.
I think we're all glad. Yeah, I think we're all glad you didn't do that.
No, and it's totally on the theme of this, where it's like, it has to be this Venn diagram of, it's really doing good for the world and decarbonizing our world, but also just making dollars and cents economic sense for the manufacturers and the distributors and the contractors. That's why we wanted to focus on heat pumps and electrification, is huge impact and the amount of emissions it can reduce and energy savings. But we saw the CEO of Carrier and the CEO of Mitsubishi and all of these industry folks like, we want to sell heat pumps because they're higher margin and higher ticket size and we'll make more money. And we're like, that's great. We can help you do that and help decarbonize your buildings and be part of that solution. So that was the impetus. And that got us to really just learning and doing ride-alongs and going to events. Like, what are the bottlenecks, and really reinforcing that how do you pay for this was the biggest need. And that was really the origin of Coral.
You chose action over talk, which we love.
100%. Yep.
I'm looking at your LinkedIn here. So like you were at Boston Consulting. So big fancy consultant for a while, and then you took the leap to a startup. Like, tell us about that decision. I always love I'm someone who left a big fancy corporate job and went into the startup world, and it's been interesting, but a challenge since. But I'm always impressed by the people that are ballsy to go, I'm leaving this big safe corporate job and I'm going to the startup world. So like, tell us about that first step.
Yeah, I love being a BCG. I learned a lot. I knew, like many people, like, and you too, Joel, like, it was a training ground and a learning experience that was always to build the experiences to do the next thing. And I was really interested in startups for a while. I was looking for the right fit. And after, being there for a few years, I was like, I'm just going to leave and just look for the earliest stage startup that I could. And that's why I joined the e-commerce startup I was at, Snow. It's because it was founders I'd really gotten to know and really trusted. And it was a really unique early stage role to be in the ground floor and build. But yeah, it was a great experience. And getting to the startup world, as you've seen, it was totally different. There was so much I had to unlearn. And I still remember, and I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I'll share it. Like, the first month, we had to replace some CRM system or some internal tools. And I had the perfect BCG framework of, here are the 5 systems, and I have these 4 criteria, and here's the rubric, and here's the one. And our CEO was like, why are we talking about this? Why didn't you just do this?
That's not how we work. Yeah. Yeah. Owen, you do anything like that at Shine?
Dude, the thing is, like, I spent so little time. But the flip side is true. Like, I've spent so little time in corporate America that sometimes we were hiring people that have like real company experience. And I'm like, oh, like a little bit of organization is good. Or like using a CRM platform, like that's also good. So I agree. You can kind of go too far in either direction, but both of those are bad.
Yeah,
right?
It's nice.
Like,
and it's nice.
Sort of
it's nice when
ground.
it's happening at Cambio too. It's like we're hiring more established people coming from big corporate, and like you have to find that balance of, all right, Mr. or Mrs. Corporate, cool. You got ideas, you got structure, you got process. We kind of need that. But remember, we move fast and break things here. So
exactly.
Find the balance.
But the balance is way more speed, and it's way more, let's not try to make it perfect or 99% right. It's like, get good enough that you have a pretty good educated guess, and let's go test it and get feedback and see what happens. But it's absolutely that, like, move fast and break things, which we have to get to really quickly. And that's core to how we do it at Coral too.
So we've we've gotten like 3 really big customers recently solely because of how fast we move. Like that's what they've all told us that. The solar industry, like so many industries, loves to like get perfect utility data and put together this 40-page proposal that nobody gives a shit about. And instead, our strategy is just turn around numbers that are 80% accurate within like 24 hours. And people love it. And I feel like more companies need to take that strategy and just like get rid of the perfection pursuit.
100%, 80% in 24 hours versus 95% in 4 months. Like,
yeah, it's like we've already forgot about the project.
And a 40-page proposal no one effing reads, right?
Exactly.
Nobody reads.
What are you doing?
Like, dude, we sent like the jankiest Excel spreadsheet, and it sells $1 million solar systems all the time.
When I was at Google, I was running the net zero program, and I tend to be someone who leans into like not 40-page proposals. And like but there was like one time we were trying to struggle to explain something to an executive, and I wrote like a Google Doc, and it was like 6 bullet points, and it became the Bible of the whole program. It was like every time we're like, what are we doing? Like, well, that's like Joel's bullet point thing. It was like the dumbest, simplest document, but it's like, that's how decisions are made. The more senior you get in organizations, no one has fucking time to read 40-page documents.
Make it simple. You have a minute to scroll through this and try to understand and make a call. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Samir, we're getting close to time. This has been awesome. So let's ask, like, we always have our final question. We won't go there yet. Before we get to the final question, like, tell us. I mean, we kind of danced around this a little bit, but like, what's the next frontier for Coral? Who are you trying to reach? Like, if again, this is the most widely consumed sustainability podcast in the world, so you're getting in front of a big audience here. Like, who are you trying to sell to the utilities? Are you trying to get contractors? Like, what's the North Star here?
So it's really contractors, but then partnering with utilities and implementers and the government. So we have made a huge impact in the Northeast, Massachusetts, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey. Like we're selling thousands of projects with our contractors and helping accelerate and really bend the curve on electrification. This year is taking that to more places. So we're, the Southeast, the Midwest, eventually we'll be in all 50 states. So trying to meet more partners and really work together with them is like the biggest thing. So if you're any type of government official, utility partner, implementer partner, and you want to make it easier to access these programs and sell more heat pumps, would love to meet. But that's our focus, is taking this model to more places and then to more products. Right now, we're mainly focused on HVAC, but water heaters, storage, electric panels, there's really any type of energy efficient electrified upgrade with these incentives, we can finance in exactly the same way. So that's where we're going.
We had Reservoir.
Yeah, I saw you had.
Yeah, he was great, and I keep bugging him. I'm like harassing him on LinkedIn now. I'm like, when are you coming to New York, dude? When are you coming to New York? I got my water heater running oil, so I'm gonna have you finance Luke's reservoir in my house. There you go.
Very great synergy, love it. So what's that?
He push it back. He's not gonna hook you up in New York.
Well, he's being like a smart founder. He's trying to focus. They decided, let's launch in Boston. Let's nail Boston. That's where they're starting. And he's going to like expand when he sees fit. But he just told me, he responded to me on LinkedIn. He's like, he just said soon, ...
Well, tell him, can you start the run in Utah too? Because I'm going to need some water heaters here in a minute. We could be the pilots as he expands.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for free water heaters. We'll pay. I just want to otherwise I'm going to get some shitty like traditional water heater. Exactly.
Like, I need a water heater. I'm like, I was so impressed with Luke on the podcast. I'm like, Luke, come on, man, get to New York. I need you.
Yeah.
Well, Samir, this is awesome stuff. We'll be rooting for you. Please let us know in any way we can help. But let's wrap up. We always end with the same question.
Yeah.
Sustainability movement can sometimes be too focused on negativity and how the planet is ending soon, but we like to keep it optimistic here. So, Samir, what gives you hope for the future?
I'm really excited about the technology getting a lot better. Like, fundamentally, the hardware is getting a lot better. It is Luke and Reservoir, and I know you had Vincent and Gradient and Quilt, and there's many, many more, Merino, and all these ones that are coming out almost.
Yeah, Merino founder will be on soon. She's coming on.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, so the technology is accelerating by leaps and bounds, and ultimately that's making it a better product for homeowners. It's also making more energy savings and less upfront costs. And of course, we're really focused on rebates and financing and making it more affordable, but it's way more exciting when like the systems themselves are even higher impact. And that's just been really exciting. It's like there's so many people flooding into the space across all sides of it, from financing to software, but the hardware getting really, really innovative and better is really exciting. So one of many things that makes me really optimistic.
Yeah, well said. So how do we point people to you? We want to plug. I'm on the website. It's startcoral.com.
Yeah.
So
Come to
there.
startcoral.com, put in your email, phone, we'll follow up. We'd love to hear from you, love to share more about Coral, love to learn more about your business or just what you're working on, anyone listening. So startcoral.com is the best place. And then, no, this is awesome.
And
Joel.
follow you on LinkedIn. I think that's how I discovered you. You're pretty active on LinkedIn personally.
Yeah, increasingly so. And so, please, Samir Pendse, just follow me on LinkedIn and DM me. As we expand to new states or get into new programs, we'll have more updates there too. And so, follow me on LinkedIn, startcoral.com. Those are perfect places.
Love it. Anything to add, Owen? Wrap up here?
No, great show. Great guest.
Great show. And Owen and I we met surfing in Santa Barbara in grad school. So the name, the ocean connection, we love it.
Even more fitting. Yeah.
Thanks again, Samir. Thanks for joining. Thank you, Owen. Thank you to our audience, as always. You can find Owen and I also on LinkedIn, usually actively antagonizing the more talk, more complaining sustainability crowd. You can find this podcast and more great content at letstalkmoreaction.com. If you like the podcast, please subscribe, like, and share with your friends. And until next time, we encourage you to ask yourself, what are you doing to take action to make the world a better place?